Let's talk about the band Mindless Self Indulgence. Now, I can pretty much describe and I guess sum up the band with two words. One, weird, and two, vulgar. Yeah, they were very weird and vulgar band. Very unusual and explicit. Very strange and uncensored. Yeah. They were a very strange band. Weird, eccentric, unusual, different, unique. You know, I could never really categorize them, really. Especially, put them in like a single genre or whatever. No, I couldn't, I could never do that. Because they never fit in any genre. Their music was all over the place. It was never the same. It was always different. It always sounded different. And it always was different. You know? It was weird. It was unusual. They never fit in anywhere. They were always, out of the norm. And I always loved that about them. And I always vibed with that and related to that because sometimes that's how I felt. And sometimes that's still how I feel to this day. You know, weird, unusual, never fitting in anywhere. Not normal, you know, never in the norm, out of the norm, I always felt like that back then, and I always felt like I sometimes still feel like that to this day. And that's why I kind of can, that's why I really vibed with them and related to them. And yeah. And the vulgarity, the explicit nature, the very uncensored nature of this band, you know. I really like that as well. Because they said what they wanted to. They said whatever they wanted. They did whatever they wanted. They sang about whatever they wanted. Like they even have a song that's titled after a slur, which I'm not going to say, but if you know the band, you know which song I'm talking about. But yeah, they were very uncensored, rebellious. They said whatever they wanted to, no matter how explicit and vulgar it was. They just did it. They just said it, saying it. And I love that about them. How uncensored they were, how not PG, family friendly they were. They never really felt like they had to be PG, family friendly. And I love that. Because a lot of stuff nowadays, some stuff nowadays, feels like it has to be PG, family friendly, or radio friendly, or whatever, in order to, fit in with everything else. But no, they did the opposite. They were highly explicit, highly vulgar, uncensored. And probably because of that, they didn't really fit in a lot of places. Again. And I love that. I love that about them. They didn't feel the need to, censor themselves and be PG, family friendly. And I love that. But, yeah. Unfortunately, though, not everything was sunshine and rainbows with this band. Unfortunately, later on, they got into a controversy, some hot water, there were some allegations about a certain band member, and yeah, even though a lot of it was, even though none of it pretty much was never really proven, and a lot of the allegations and stuff were just kind of dismissed and kind of thrown out and everything and forgotten about. Still, I figured I might as well mention that because not everything was like sunshine and rainbows with this band. You know, not everything was good about this band. You know, they do have a little bit of a muddy past, even if it's not 100% proven or not. But yeah, regardless of any of that, though, I still loved this band and still enjoy and listen to this band a lot, even today. They were one of the bands I grew up listening to, and they became honestly kind of my one of my favorite bands growing up. You know, they're really special to me. I was really a huge fan, especially in junior high and high school. You know, I was really a huge fan. You know, I was kind of obsessed. It got to a point where sometimes I would, whenever I was in computer class, any computer class, you know, I would always change my background, my wallpaper, my computer wallpaper and background to a picture of them, and it's what I'm using as a thumbnail right now. But for this video, but yeah, I'd always change it to that as the wallpaper and background. Just I was obsessed. And also just to mess with everyone else, to annoy people. And yeah, I probably did annoy people, and they always had to change it back and everything. But I always did it anyway because I don't know. It just, yeah. They were a very weird and vulgar band that I loved and still enjoy and listen to their stuff to this day. I'm still somewhat of a fan, regardless of anything else. And